When it comes to laning in Deadlock, there's quite a few things to keep track of. You've got enemies shooting at you, troopers that you need to last hit, items that you need to buy, and that's just at a surface level. The longer you look, the worse it gets. In this video, we'll be discussing the concept of statue weaving. You'll be familiar with these little golden guys or their box counterparts. They offer a huge amount of value to you in the early game, so let's take a look at how you can best take advantage of them. My name is Drongo, this is your Deadlock, let's get to it. Around the map, you will run into these little statues or these little boxes. Every time you crack one open, there's a chance you might find a surprise inside. From my current testing, it seems to be about 50% of the time with the golden statues and about 45% of the time with the boxes that you'll find a surprise inside. As the game increases in length, the value of these surprises increases in power. And while it might seem a little random as to where these are positioned throughout the map, there are, dare I say it, routes that you can take to maximize your efficiency when you actually take these. It's important to remember that each lane is different, so we'll be visiting every single lane and going over the different routes that they've got available to them. But before we do that, it's important we go over number 1, the maths, and number 2, the caveats. So starting with the maths, when it comes to raw value for the boxes, at 2 minutes into the game, they're 42 souls each. Compared to a trooper, which is 77 souls, this is a decent chunk of change. But you're not going to be getting souls in every single box. It's roughly 45% from my testing that you get souls out of them, which means that you're looking at about 19 souls on average for every box that you crack open over the course of, say, 1,000 boxes. As mentioned earlier, they do scale throughout the game, but our main focus here is just going to be on the early laning phase. When it comes to the golden statue, it depends exactly how you want to calculate it at what rate. I went off the 3k items, and by doing this, they come up with a pretty decent soul count, each one worth around 100 souls each. And of course, if you crack them open only 50% of the time there's a surprise inside, each one represents about 50 souls worth of value that you're getting out of it. So, as an example, a small little route like this one, where we take out 4 golden statues and 4 boxes, has given us the equivalent of about 280 souls. We picked up 3% weapon damage, 4% ammo, 20 bonus health, and 84 souls. The last trooper in the enemy wave died at 2 minutes and 1 seconds, and we arrived back to lane at 2 minutes and 16 seconds, just 6 seconds after the next enemy trooper wave has dropped. And while those buffs might be small initially, they do add up over the course of a game. On top of that, any souls that you've got could be the break point between your current items and your next item. This means that you can potentially hit power spikes earlier. Now that we've covered the maths, and hopefully I've convinced you these are a good investment of your time, let's get into the caveats. The first one is, of course, it's an investment of your time. There's a lot of things that you're going to be doing in the laning phase, in between last hitting, attacking the enemy, defending from the enemy, doing the easy jungle camp. There's a lot going on, and it's important that you pick your timing. However, one of the things that I've found, and keep in mind, I'm only a top 5% player, I'm not your 0.1% top player, so perhaps it's different at that level, but in my games have become a lot more defensive. It doesn't feel like people are going for kills as often, and because of that, there's more downtime in the lane. So weaving in statues and boxes is a great way to kill that downtime. The second caveat I'd put in here is that each route has got a different length to it. Some of them are super quick, and others take a little bit longer. So it's important that you know how much time you've got before you need to get back to that tower, because at all costs we want to avoid losing troopers. So let's get into it. The general concept is pretty simple. In between our trooper waves, we want to weave in these golden statues whenever we can. The key point being whenever we can. We want to do our best to push our lane out, go take the statues, come back, deal with our lane, make sure that the troopers are in a decent position, and then go back out again. By carefully weaving the statues and boxes in between these waves, we can build a decent soul lead on the opponent if they are neglecting to do the same thing. So let's get into the different lanes. Let's talk about the solo lanes first, and then we'll deal with the duo lanes afterwards. Okay, so starting off in the leftmost lane, you'll probably be familiar with this route. Coming over onto the left side as close to the teleporter as you can, popping the first 2 boxes, the 2 on the upper level, and then 2 of the golden statues. You've just hit a pretty decent chunk of change here. We've got 1 final statue across the bridge, and that's your first route. All right, so the second route is on the right side of the lane. Take the 2 boxes underneath the urn drop-off, and then double jump up to the top, clear the 2 boxes underneath the signs, and then 2 more around the side. We'll then swing into the cubbies just over here on this side, and then make our way back out towards the lane. You can use a double jump or a dash jump just to get there a little bit faster, but a very quick route there as well. Then we've got this one with the optional small jungle camp. So taking out first box, second box, trying to make the dash onto the zip line or the jump line, coming up the top, 3 boxes all next to each other. There are a couple more boxes on this roof, but it's probably not worth extending all the way out. then coming back through here. All right, and just wanted to finish us off for the yellow lane or for the leftmost lane. It's a simple one. You've been shopping before. You know exactly what it is. 3 boxes and a statue. I'll take that. Nice and easy. And we head on our way back to the lane. All right, so over to the right side, and it is another route that you'll be familiar with. We're just making sure that we cover everything in this. We don't want to miss anything, but you'll be familiar with this first route that we've covered. Let's get on to the second route. All right, so the second route is a little bit different from the first side, mainly because we're going to take these 2 boxes, but we need to be careful to conserve our stamina usage. So we're making sure that we just avoid going too deep into enemy territory, because we're essentially taking boxes on their side of the map. So that's the second one. Okay, so onto the third statue route. So coming through this little staircase and into the cathedral, there's quite a few boxes and statues that are inside. I make the mistake of going for this statue here and assuming it doesn't have anything in it. Never a fun game to play. I think you always just want to assume that there's something inside and path towards it. But there is a couple of sneaky boxes on the outside here as well. Just make sure that you remember them, and you can head back to lane, and you should be able to avoid missing any creeps, though it might be a little bit tight if your pathing is as bad as mine. So the fourth one for this lane, this is a little bit of a longer route, so I'd only ever go for this if you push your enemy underneath their tower completely. You want to try and get on this roof without missing the zip line or the jump rope. So we've got a golden statue and 2 boxes up the top here. We've got 3 golden statues and 2 boxes down below us. Once again, pathing to avoid our goodie rather than taking it. And then we've got 1 box, 2, 3, 4 boxes downstairs here. And then 5, 6 boxes and another statue before we head back to lane. And I think it's taken about 30 seconds to get to this point, but because we pushed under the enemy's tower, the troopers are now going to be pushing against us, so hopefully we have avoided missing any of them. Okay, so onto the inner left lane. We'll take a look at the first route as we pop a couple of boxes right here. They might not look like boxes, but I assure you they've got souls inside. I typically avoid going any further than this point, even though there are things to grab on the other side, just because we want to try and get back to lane as quickly as we can without losing too many troopers, or ideally any troopers. So for the second statue route, you're going to head over into the imports building here. There's 3 boxes as well as 1 statue inside, and a 4th box is going to be on the outside. Now, if you want to use a bit of stamina, you can do that, or if you just want to try and jump across, you're welcome to do that, but there is another box that's just sitting out here. Nice, another quick route as well. Okay, so you've come back for a shop. You can just come down the stairs here, pop the vase, pop the box, and then there are 5 more boxes inside the secret shop. So these are always great to go and check. You can always do a little bit of purchasing here as well, and then just head straight back to lane. So the 4th route is going to be the same one that we saw in the beginning of the game, taking advantage of the golden statues and boxes at the top of the mid-boss pit. The idea is just to get in here nice and quick. Don't want to overcommit to the other side, because even though there's technically golden statues out there, it's a little bit of a commitment, bit dangerous to do it as well. But back to the lane on time, and not a soul lost. And now over onto the inner right lane. Just for the sake of completionism, we just want to make sure that we cover this route. You guys will be intimately familiar with it now, but it's a very high value route, and I just want to make sure that if you're skipping ahead to this point in the video, that you're not missing it, because it is very, very valuable. So making sure that we pick that one up, and then easily getting back to lane in time to pick up everything else. All right, so number 2 will look intimately familiar with you. This time we're over at the apothecary, and we're just picking up these boxes that are out or on the inside, as well as the one that's on the outside. It is just the mirrored version of the one you saw earlier. All right, so you just came back for a quick buy, cleared out the troopers. Well, now it's time to hit the first box on the easy camp. Come out for this box, golden statue, couple more boxes on the back here, and going for a dive. You can technically extend out this route a little bit further, but we're avoiding doing it just because we want to make our way back towards that middle lane and get back on time. So if you find yourself near your guardian, there'll be a couple of boxes as well as a golden statue that you'll be able to pick up nice and close by. So make sure you look to pick that up if you are playing defensively. Well, that's it for all the statue routes that we found. We may have missed a few boxes here or there, but I think we got most of the important ones done. Keep in mind that there are still technically clusters all over the map that we didn't cover today. And if you'd like to study where those clusters are more, you can either pause the video here or check the link in the description to where you can find a copy of this map. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If there's anything you think we missed, leave a comment down below. And if you're looking forward to more Deadlock content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've been Drongo. This has been your Deadlock. Thank you for watching.